90% of managers waste their one-on-ones. Here's how AI can help you fix that. Okay, we'll go through in this video how a bad one-on-one looks like, how most of managers do it, and why you should abandon it as fast as possible. We'll also go through what a one-on-one should contain, and I will also show you an example how a perfect one-on-one in my example would look like, and how AI can help you prepare and then also summarize and close down a one-on-one. I will also show you prompt examples from my prompt library that can help you go through one-on-ones, help you prepare for one-on-ones and also summarize them. And we also will jump into ChatGPT to test one in real life. Okay, so how I came to this conclusion with the one-on-ones, over the last 10 years, I've been managing projects in several industries such as healthcare, IT, finance. I also manage people from over 17 different countries. So I've tried a lot of one-on-one techniques for the past 10 years, and I started playing around with AI, with ChatGPT, I think in early 2023. And I started implementing it in the preparation for one-on-one, in improving my agenda, improving my questions, and trying to play with it for the last few years. So the past 4 to 5 months, I came up with, I think, a really good system for the one-on-ones. And I also got some great feedback on it from my colleagues and for the people I work with. So let's jump into it. Let's check out what the actual problem is, and then let's see what the solution would be. Okay? So what the problem is with the regular one-on-ones that managers do is that it is a conversation between the manager and the team member, but it usually turns out to be either a status update that the manager just wants to know how a project is going. Do you have any blockers that he could resolve just so the work could move on? And there are a lot of general questions, a lot of general templates with the same questions over and over again at each one-on-one. And then it feels really repetitive. Okay, so you feel like you're on the same one-on-one every month or every week or every few other weeks, depending on how frequently you do one-on-ones. But it takes the soul out of the one-on-one, right? So it should feel personal. You should feel that your manager is caring about you and wants to ask those questions and wants to know the answers as well, right? But if you do the one-on-ones this way, it just feels like filling a survey, right, for someone. It doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel built around you, right? So the problem is this kind of one-on-one, and what we're trying to do is make sure to get rid of them as soon as possible. So what would be a good one-on-one? What should a good one-on-one contain? So it should definitely contain a personal check-in, right? I know there's a lot of you who doesn't want to talk about personal stuff or personal things at your workplace, and that is fine as well. I always leave that part open. I always ask, if you want to share anything, I'm open to listen. If you don't, that's totally fine as well. You just have to give the option to share personal things, because sometimes it's just good to get it off your chest, good to talk about it. You don't have to react as a manager. You just have to listen, right? And then you also have a work check-in, right? How is everything going? Are you fine? Do you have any problems? Do you have any blockers? You can ask about blockers, and you can maybe talk about the status of the work, but it's not the goal of the one-on-one. But if he or she wants to talk about it, that's totally fine as well. You have to talk about goals, development, what he or she wants to achieve, right? So you have to go about it and make sure that you have something to look for in the future, okay? And I think two really important parts, and for me usually it's the closing part of the one-on-one, is feedback and clear action items, right? And the reason I have these little arrows here is that feedback and action items should be in both ways, okay? So it's not just I'm giving you feedback. It's actually, let's talk about feedback, right? So I'm giving you feedback, what I think about your work, about you, about your actions, or whatever it is, but you can also give me feedback, right? So you have the chance to talk about your problems and your situation, and then you can tell me what you would like me to do or change, or just give me feedback if it's something is good or bad, right? So I can learn as well. So the one-on-one is also an option and also a chance for the manager to improve, right? So this should be one of the goals of the one-on-one as well. So and the other one is clear action items, right? So there's two ways I saw action items turn out. One is just, send a to-do list for the team member, which is just, basically not really motivational. And also is action items that me as a manager have to ask a few things from you in the future, right? Makes no sense. So what clear action items has to be is that we have to define, right? We define your goals, your development, whatever you want. Then we give feedback to each other. And out of these two, or maybe even from this one, out of these two, there's going to be a few action items that come out, right? So for example, like I'm going to remind you, or I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to share with you something that you wanted to. And on the other hand, you also have to, change and, do something in the future. Let me give you an example. For example, in my work, there was a situation where communication was maybe not so perfect on my side. There was some situation, some change request from the client, and we communicated it to the team, but maybe a little late, right? So on the feedback side, I got a feedback from them. So then I can maybe go back, look at my notes, and send them a good summary, right? Maybe it's a little late. Maybe it was, a few days ago, but I can send them a good summary, and I can make sure that in the future, I can give them feedback as well on a good time. Or on the other hand, maybe one of the members, told us that they're going to be out of office a little late, right? It's not a month ahead, not 2 weeks ahead, not 4 weeks ahead, but maybe a few days ahead because they just forgot to tell us, right? So we can give feedback that, this was not okay. We were in a situation where we can give you your out of office, but, we may have needed some time to think about that. So then, he or she can make sure to write that up, improve, and make sure that this is going to be a better outcome in the future. Okay. So these would be an examples. Maybe I can, come up with better examples, but this is just what came to my mind. But I think you can figure out what I'm talking about is that make sure that feedback is goes both ways, and also action items goes both ways as well. Okay. So then let's see how an actual one-on-one should look like with a team member. Okay. So every one-on-one should have actions on the management side and also on the team member side, but that's going to be a different topic, maybe for a different video. Today we're talking about the management side. So there has to be action on both sides, okay? Before and after the one-on-one. So what are we doing before the one-on-one, right? So we have to set the agenda for the one-on-one. It's a meeting as well, right? So we expect, or, if the processes are good in the company, you expect to have an agenda for a meeting. Right. So you're scheduling a meeting with someone else about KPIs or whatever it is, but you're not setting an agenda. They don't know what's going to be the plan for the meeting. So then you cannot follow that plan of the meeting. So it's going to be a lot of wasted time during the meeting. So we are trying to set an agenda for the one-on-one. And we're also trying to track follow-ups, right? So what happened in the previous one-on-one? So this is our input, right? What happened on the previous one-on-one? So we should have all the meeting notes, all the action items, all the feedback, everything from all the one-on-ones. We should have them in a folder for that team member. And then based on that, we can set the agenda. We can track the follow-ups. Did we complete every action item we talked about? Did we improve in any of the points where we gave each other feedback, right? And then we also have to tailor the coaching questions, right? So we're going to also talk about coaching questions, but that's a topic for another video because I could go really deep into that topic as well. But for the sake of this video, let's just say we're going to tailor the coaching questions as well, okay? And how AI comes into this one, right? So the difference is with AI and without AI is I know a lot of managers, and I've been in that situation as well, that you just happen to just step into the one-on-one. Like you just came from another meeting or you had a bunch of to-dos before and you just arrive at the one-on-one and okay, like, what do you want to talk about? Or let's jump into the questions, right? So there was no preparation for that meeting. You should approach this like a client meeting. You're not going to fall into a client meeting without preparation, right? So this is the same thing. You have to make sure that you're prepared for the meeting. You should go through the personal check-in, the work check-in, the growth goals, feedback, action items, right? The ones we were just talking about. And then once the one-on-one is completed, you'll go through and look at what you have to do after. After the one-on-one, you have to make sure that you have the meeting summary, right? You either had a meeting note taker in there with AI as well, or you wrote your own notes. I tried both, to be honest. Maybe having a note taker worth the money if you have enough one-on-ones. If you have once or twice in a month, maybe it's not worth the money and you just take the notes. But having a note taker in the meeting with AI is just easier, right? So you can focus more on the one-on-one and not taking notes, just as, a reminder. Okay, you also write up the action items based on the summary, and you also set your reminders, maybe in the calendar, maybe in your to-do list, wherever you track them, but you have to set your reminders, okay? But I know this looks like a lot of to-dos before and after the one-on-one, right? So the usual and the regular answer I get from managers is that they don't have the time for this, right? So that's basically the answer for everything. If you talk to managers, that they don't have time for that. But, in reality, I know they don't have time for that. I have 20 plus hours of meetings a week. So I know that it's busy. I know it's hard to prepare for. This is why we use AI and different AI tools. Okay. So let me show you a prompt that I made and that I use every week to have with my one-on-ones. Let's jump into the prompt library. Okay. So this is my prompt library where I collect all the important and all the great prompts I have used. You can check it out. If you want to make sure to get your access to the prompt library, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section, comment AI, and you'll get access to the prompt library. Okay. So let's check out the one-on-one prompt I was talking about. Okay. So what's the context of the prompt? Okay. So we are preparing for a one-on-one meeting that is often just defaults to a checklist, right? So this prompt reframes the prep. The employee is the player, you are the coach. Okay, I love the sporting metaphors. This is what I do. The goal is to help him, her feel secure, supported, and ready to perform at his or her best. Okay, so let me not read the entire prompt for you, but we are taking, setting the tone for the AI. What are your inputs for the prompt? It is you paste the name of who you have the one-on-one in, and you also give the materials for the previous one-on-ones. Okay, and based on this one-on-one, you'll prepare with what matters the most, areas to explore, coaching style questions, coach's playbook. How can you act so you can help him or her build a confidence, play strength, prepare for the season, right? Practical follow-up questions, and then also action items and so on. Okay, you can modify this prompt however you like, but it's really easy to use. Let me give you an example. In ChatGPT, let me just copy and paste the prompt, run it, and then it will ask us for the name of the person and the one-on-one meeting notes. So we will I just made up this meeting note by ChatGPT, and we'll take this meeting notes with Sally and then paste it in there. Okay, let's see. Okay, what matters to Sally most, areas to explore in the conversation, coaching style questions. Okay, what will be the coaching style questions? How has the contract freeze change affected your day-to-day focus so far? What's one thing in the current sprint that feels like it's building your skills? Yeah, what do you learn from the API incident? How do you want me to measure your own progress? What support from me would help you feel more confident? Okay, so that would be great coaching questions, coaching playbook, right? Game situations, stamina building, team strategy, practical follow-ups, right? And then we also have the areas to explore, right? What matters to most to Sally? Okay, so these was obviously a made-up fake one-on-one meeting notes, but you get the idea of it, okay? So this is exactly what you can do with AI, and this is how you move from the actual repetitive and, not confidence building one-on-one to the one-on-one where you have time to prepare before because you use AI, where you have time to do a summary after because you use AI, and this is how we do a one-on-one that is actually building teams and building team confidence. So if you want to lead better one-on-ones and use AI effortlessly to make it more effective, make sure to like and subscribe to never miss future videos, and also comment AI into the comment section to get the prompt for this AI solution.